much for being here today. I'm Audrey Wish, co-founder and CEO of Curious Cardinals, and I'm honored to welcome you all to our very first Timeless Skills pitch competition. This was an incredibly competitive process. We had over 100 students submit passion projects, and today we'll hear from just 12 finalists. One thing we're especially proud of is we didn't set an age limit. We almost capped this to high schoolers, but at Curious Cardinals, we believe students of all ages are capable of extraordinary things. And today we have everyone from a third grader to an incoming freshman at Harvard presenting, and we're so proud of all of our extraordinary finalists. In this AI era, the skills that truly stand the test of time are what we'll be looking for: curiosity, storytelling, work ethic, impact, creativity, and critical thinking. You've all shown these skills in your projects, and today's pitches are a chance to bring that to life. We're so lucky to have an incredible panel of judges. Hadi Partovi, founder of Code.org and an early investor in companies like Facebook. Hadi's also a Curious Cardinals father. We have Deb Liu, former CEO of Ancestry, who started Marketplace at Facebook, also a Curious Cardinals mother. And we were going to have Diane von Furstenberg, a Curious Cardinals grandma, join us today, but unfortunately, in the last few hours, she had an emergency come up and will not be able to join us. So big shoes to fill. We have Alec, Katz, the co-founder of Curious Cardinals, stepping in to be the third judge today. How this is going to work is each finalist has 3.5 minutes to pitch, which will be followed by 2.5 minutes of Q&A of questions with the judges. Afterwards, we're going to wrap up this pitch. The judges will come together to deliberate, and we will announce the winners on Instagram Live. So with that, Mackenzie, if you can go to the next 2 slides. This is our new judges. We are gonna take it away and have our first finalist, Sophie Rowe, a 10th grader from Los Angeles, start. Please, just some quick Zoom practices. We ask that you please be on Zoom. Please be active and supportive in the chat. We love all the energy in the chat, but please make sure to mute yourself and the student will go. So Sophie Rowe from Los Angeles, take it away.
Prepare for launch. 3, 2, 1, liftoff. Welcome to Launchbox, learning business by doing business. Hi, I'm Sophie Rowe, a sophomore in high school. And judges, we've got a problem. Most students in the US don't have access to realistic and fun ways to learn about business and would benefit from being exposed to these skills at an earlier age. Next slide, please.
My God.
Inspire to make an impact. I'm a part of a futurism and business club at school. In the business club, we run a camp that teaches students how to start their own business, and this is where at least sparked my interest. There's also limited access to practical business knowledge in my community and other communities around me. Next slide, please. How Launchbox changes the game. Launchbox is a BizBox startup kit that has materials to create businesses like a lemonade stand, a jewelry making business, and a lip balm business. With that, there are immersive and interactive worksheets, activities, and games that teach core business concepts. Next slide, please. My process. In the beginning, I wrote 20 problems on my mirror, and when I came across this problem, I knew I needed to pursue it. I worked closely with my mentor, Rebecca, who challenged and guided me through the entire process. She taught me how to be flexible, adapt, and work hard to get the best results. And here they are. Next slide, please. I had many ideas on what Launchbox could be: a conference, a club, an organization. But in the end, I hosted a workshop at the Van Nuys Library and reached over 25 students and gave 10 boxes away. Next slide, please. My growth and learnings. My main challenge was to figure out how to reach as many students as possible over the summer while developing authentic and meaningful relationships. But I also learned valuable skills when I was connecting with the librarians, like design thinking, public outreach, and during this process, gaining the you versus you mentality. Next slide, please. Solving the problem my own way. I created this business because I experienced the problem firsthand. When I was younger, I wanted to learn about business, but there wasn't a fun and experiential way for me to get hands-on experience. That's why, as a kid, creating this for other kids, I bring a unique understanding and perspective. Next slide, please. Why this work matters now and tomorrow. This work is so important for our next generation, and we're just getting started. The vision is to launch a series of monthly subscription boxes. The first month, you would get a financial literacy box. Then you would get a branding and marketing box. And the next month you would get a social success box. Now, what would I do with the $1,000? I would 100% expand box production and workshops. The more boxes I can create and the more workshops I can host, the bigger the impact. Next slide, please. Last but not least, my why. I wholeheartedly believe that for business to succeed, founder must have a strong why. And judges, if you look at the slide, you'll know my why. I want to help inspire and teach students about business, but it's so much more than that. I want to grow community, create an opportunity, and spark curiosity amongst these students.
Perfect.
So this is me. This is Launchbox. And now you can become a part of shaping our future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sophie. We're going to open it up to 2.5 minutes of Q&A with the judges.
Great.
Sounds perfect.
I'm Deb. I had a question.
Hi.
What is your customer acquisition strategy? How do you want to do outreach?
So I actually created a website, and that was on my growth and learnings page. I created a website where I also have an Instagram, and the website I'm planning on selling my boxes there, but also I'm planning on going to other schools. So other private schools around LA and also public schools too, hosting workshops there to really advertise Launchbox at first and get people to know what this is about and to see if they're interested in it, and then just keep hosting workshops and keep hosting workshops at public libraries too, to reach students kind of around the LA County.
I have a question. Can you tell us more about the feedback from the first 25 students that you hosted over the summer and what they did with the boxes you gave with them?
Yes.
Did you collect feedback after the fact?
Yeah, I did. I had a Google form, and I think that was one of my artifacts that I submitted to the Curious Cardinals submission, but it was a whole Google form asking what they liked about the workshop, what I can improve if they like the boxes. And they really liked how it was interactive and immersive, but they also wanted maybe more of AI, something with AI, because it is all physical. So maybe having a lot of the feedback was maybe doing like a virtual box or integrating something with technology to make it more kind of STEM for the students who are interested in STEM. So that was all really great feedback too.
What was the greatest roadblock that you encountered this summer, and how did you overcome it?
Probably all the rejection from the libraries. I went around to, I want to say 10 different libraries around LA and tried to have a workshop there, and 9 out of the 10 rejected me, which was hard because this is my first time doing this. So definitely no one loves rejection, but I think that really taught me to just keep on going and persevering, because you only need one. And when I got the one, it happened to be super successful, and I got to reach many students at the Van Nuys Library. So that was probably the hardest part for me.
Rejection is
That it? Yeah.
pretty much dealing with rejection and persevering is one of the most important things any entrepreneur can learn.
Yes, definitely.
Last question is, a year from now, what does this look like? What's the vision for what this can become a year from now?
Yeah, for sure. I think I obviously want to continue hosting workshops at libraries, but I would really love to connect with schools. So maybe integrating Launchbox in the school's program, because when I met with the Van Nuys librarians and other librarians around LA, they said they've never really seen or heard anything like this, and how students who come to the library in school, there are a lot of library volunteers that in school, there's not a lot about business or financial literacy or entrepreneurship. So just integrating them to these schools and working together to add it in the curriculum.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Sophie. We're going to move on to our next finalist, Armand. Please welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to move our spotlights from everyone. And you're going to welcome Armand, who is our youngest participant today, a 3rd grader from San Mateo. Armand, please take it away.
The Forever Bar, a soap that never runs out. Next, all about me. I go to Up Academy. I'm turning 9 in a month. I love asking questions. I love science and technology. I love the environment and imagining new products. Here's one of them. 3 main ways to kill microbes are 1, phospholipid-like molecules. When you wash your hands with soaps, the oil hydrophobic tails pick up dirt and debris and bind together, making a phospholipid bilayer with an oil bead in the middle. And dying bacteria from the hydrophilic lye heads get trapped in the oil. 2, UV damages DNA. Yes, UV damages DNA. It damages the DNA of the virus, but your hand can get scarred too. It's very penetrating. Copper is not as penetrating, and it's safer because it'll only destroy the viral DNA. Next. The dream. What if soap never ran out? What if soap could work without water? What if soaps were super safe for sensitive skin? What if we could stop polluting the environment with that one bit of soap? Next. The idea. What if 1 bar of soap could clean forever without water? Next. Big block of copper would be very expensive and very heavy, and a plastic core, 1, isn't related to my original idea, and 2, is not very eco-conscious. So we put a UV resin core, but the problem with a UV resin core is it can melt underwater. So that's where a second layer, a hydrophobic layer, comes in handy to protect the UV resin core from water. Then, because copper doesn't like the hydrophobic layer, we use an adhesive called PSA, which activates when you press on it. Next. Prototyping, very simple. We have our resin base, our hydrophobic coat, and our final prototype. Next. We used agar plates to test it. We did various experiments on our hands, and we dipped them in agar plates and waited for the things to grow. Next. So, yes, less bacteria with the Forever Bar. We did the Forever Bar twice, actually, one with and one without water. Next. Yes, the Forever Bar is very effective at cleaning bacteria. The experiment was repeated twice with similar results, and as you can see, the soap remarkably reduces the number of colonies, and so does the copper in both conditions. Next. What does all of this mean? Next. He might be helpful in Africa and the remote Amazon because there is a scarcity of resources. In Asia, there's poor sanitation infrastructure, and there's also high population density. Next. Personal growth. I think I learned the value of condensing down my idea into a functioning prototype. Next. I want to incorporate optional features, user experience, and molding into kids' toys. Next. Thank you for listening. Acknowledgements to Akash, my mentor, Shireen, my mom, and Pavan, my dad. ChatGPT helped in rounding this out. Next. Any questions?
Love it. Thank you very much. I had a quick question, which is, have you tested this out, with a real audience? Have you presented it to other folks to get their feedback?
Well, yes, I presented to my parents and my mentor for that feedback.
Great. And have you talked to any customers too?
No, not
Okay.
yet. Not yet. Not yet.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
So I have a question. To the folks that you have spoken to about it, do they themselves think that they would give up soap? And do you think this is something that could replace soap for people who use regular soap? Or is this mainly for people who don't get a chance to use soap because they don't have good access to water?
I haven't got an opinion yet, but I would say that people would do it for the sake of convenience.
But you haven't had the feedback on that yet.
No.
Got it.
Can you walk me through the lab experimentation process, and specifically what were
Okay.
prizes you had? What were things that you didn't expect from the results?
Right. So one thing I didn't expect is for the colonies to be very spread out. They were actually very spread out. And for actually walking through the experimental process, it's more than just doing 3 conditions and 2 experiments. We did 2 experiments, but we did like 8 conditions. We repeated copper with water twice, and we did it for 2 people. So it became a lot. And we touched it and swapped it. Right. For the first experiment, we touched. For the second, we swapped.
I have another question. Do you have a sense of what the cost of making one of these bars would be? And which then also means how many bars of regular soap is it cost to make one of these forever bars?
I don't know for certain, but I would say very little. Because like I would say it's very inexpensive to just build like from bottom up because you have like UV resin and you just need to, get the stuff and start something.
So much. We got some great questions, some great feedback, and we are gonna move on to the next participant. Thank you so much, Armand. We're very impressed with you, especially.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Armand. That was amazing.
Margot, 7th grader from Woodside, California. Take it away, Margot.
Next slide, please. Hi, my name is Margot Wall, and today I'll be talking to you about my Timeless Skills project, Picasso. Next slide, please. Who I am and what did I build? My name is Margot Wall, and I'm an incoming 7th grader at Woodside Elementary School. In this project, I started to create an AI-powered robot that can create a surgical incision. This idea came from the fact that humans can only be precise to a certain point, whereas robots can be precise to even a molecular level. This robot will have a big impact in the medical area, especially for patients who need very precise incision work, and it can also help surgeons be more efficient within surgery and have less complications. Most of my inspiration came from my dad. He's a surgeon and tests surgical robots. He's a great passion for medicine and has made a great impact in the medical world, so I also want to make a great impact. Next slide, please. My process. I began this project by drafting and sketching Picasso, and as ideas came to mind, I altered until I got a final sketch. However, while working on these sketches, I started to create more than I could handle, so I learned to take a step back, break down the problem, and make more realistic goals. Some iterations I had was once I got a final sketch, I purchased a robot arm that was similar to these sketches. It took a few tries to assemble the robot due to some misplaced motors. It also took a few tries to download the right software, and also calibrate the robot correctly, but in the end, we got a fully programmed robot arm. When building this robot, the most difficult part was programming, and currently creating AI is proving to be difficult. However, I learned valuable problem-solving skills and a lot more about coding during these challenges. Next slide, please. Here are some photos. So under brainstorming and iterations, you can see 2 sketches, and on the very right, you can see the final product. Next slide, please. My growth and learnings. Some challenges we faced was assembling the robot motors correctly, connecting it to the correct power sources, downloading the code, but a breakthrough was when the leader arm finally connected to the follower arm. And some skills I learned was coding with Python, robot construction, and SMART goals to help with organization. Next slide, please. How I solved this in my own way. So at the beginning of this project, I brainstormed a way to create safer surgery, and I recognized that AI could be a very useful tool and adapt better than programming. A lot of inspiration came from a dementia surgical robot that's human-powered. After this, I made a time limit roadmap to make sure I'd stay on track. After sketching out an idea, we took advice from a software company called Intrinsic that helped us figure out which arm to get. And after a few attempts, we finished the robot arm. When making Picasso, I had to use many resources such as the SOARM 101, Python 3.10, my mentors Mia and Mila, and my dad who helped me build and code the robot. Next slide, please. Why this matters? Picasso can be used to help people worldwide that need complicated surgeries with exact incision work. People can also learn from Picasso's AI model. And in the future, I want Picasso to be able to conduct an entire surgery. And with the $1,000 prize money, I would invest in a more advanced robot arm that is built for using surgical tools. And I would also use it to help the AI feature. Next slide, please. Me and why? One insight I had was the joy that stuck with me throughout building Picasso. Even though it took a few tries, I still had a great time, and I hope to continue having a great time building robots. One thing that has changed me is before the project, I was fairly new to programming, but after I see myself more as an engineer, and I had a lot of fun and hope to continue creating awesome robots. And some advice I have for people is, it does not matter how slowly you go, as long as you do not stop. Confucius. This quote describes my journey because I may not be the fastest or most experienced builder, but nonetheless, I persevered and completed Picasso. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to open it up to Q&A. Mackenzie, will you go back to the My Growth and Learning so while we're asking Q&A, they can see the visual of her slides? Okay, Q&A begins now. Back one, yeah, right here. Thank you, Mackenzie.
I have a question. Did this robot actually perform any incisions? That seems like a really ambitious thing to try to build. And did you test it on anybody?
We haven't tested it yet, but we're planning to test it on pork belly skin.
That's a great place to start.
And where do you see the application? Like, what types of surgeries or what type of applications do you want to see it in? And how would you refine this over time to get it there?
I would like to see it in any sort of surgery that is like mostly in surgeries that need, like in the ER. So like very fast surgeries that need to be, where it needs to be used very fast and efficiently. And so I see this being used by doctors who are like in a rush, but still need to be super precise.
Margot, in building this very ambitious product, I'm sure you'll need a whole team eventually to scale production and bring this to market. What are the most important complementary skill sets you'd want to hire for in your early team?
I would like to, if I were to hire people, I'd hire people who have compassion for patients and know the risks that come with this robot, but who also are willing to take these risks with me, and also people who are really well educated.
How much testing would you need to go through to actually get clearance to have this used with real humans? Do you know?
I'm not 100% sure, but I know that definitely takes a lot of testing. I'm pretty sure you have to get a license for the robot, and then you have to like prove to, I think it's the FDA or some sort of government, that it works properly within surgery. However, this is just a prototype. In the end, it will be a lot more refined.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Margot. Great job today. And we are going to hand it off to our next presenters. Please welcome Spencer from New York, rising senior, and Penelope, rising incoming freshman at Harvard, as our next pitchers.
Hi, I'm Penelope, and my co-founder Spencer is here today, but with a tough Wi-Fi situation, so it'll just be me for now. We created Track Tutoring. So for middle and high school students who need occasional help with their studies, Track is an online, on-demand platform that makes it easy to instantly connect with qualified college students. A few years ago, we had a question. Why are tutoring sessions always 1 hour? Quality help should be available, sorry, it's still the last slide. Quality help should be available on demand for short sessions to solve immediate problems, but right now it isn't. And that's because today's tutoring isn't designed for today's students or today's tutors. At an average of $150 an hour, tutoring is expensive and inaccessible. And because of the current schedule ahead model, students have to make faulty guesses about when they'll need help. Next slide, please. Track Tutoring is the solution. We connect students and tutors through online, on-demand sessions timed by the minute. Basically, we're the Uber of tutoring. We started with an idea that we wished we had for ourselves, but after interviewing dozens of students at our schools, we realized there was demand and worked with a team of developers in Australia and Vietnam to bring it to life. I took part in the Frank and Eileen Accelerator program for 2 years to get more funding and guidance and keep Track moving. We initially struggled to build momentum, but we found strategies like mailing lists, social media, and word of mouth to get Track out there. We've told more people than we can count to get on Track. Our final site is far more complex than we first imagined, with features like built-in video conferencing so that parents don't have to worry about privacy and security. Next slide. Over time, we refined our process. We planned weekly meetings, assigned day-to-day work, and ensured we kept things moving when one of us was busy by emphasizing communication. We figured out exactly what our users needed so that our business could remain realistic. We tested out pricing and found a balance of what college students wanted and what students and parents could pay. Next slide. We've solved the tutoring problem. With Track, Instant is easy. Log on, tell us what you need help with, and browse a list of tutors available right now. Choose one, give them a few more details to make sure they can help, and you'll be connected within 5 minutes. We have tutors on call right now. Next slide. For the last year, we've been recruiting. We've reached high schools and universities across the country and built a network of more than 100 tutors across over 20 states. Through pilot tests, we've refined the site, grown our network, but we need more funding to keep things moving. We're breaking the barriers of cost and location so that everyone has access to personalized education. And track isn't just an idea. It's solving this problem today, tomorrow, and every day. Next slide. After dozens of interviews and countless Google Forms, we realized that the tutoring market needs to start prioritizing affordability and efficiency. To make track a reality, we worked with developers around the world and learned to work around time zones and language barriers. Now we're up and running. With $1,000 from Curious Cardinals, we'd invest in the strategies that we've already proven to work, offering ambassadors payment for referring new tutors and students, rewarding tutors for time on the site, and growing our social media presence. I'm moving into college in less than 12 hours, and I'm hoping to collaborate with HBS, Cambridge Tutors, and the Harvard School of Education when I'm on campus with them. We pride ourselves on our role as connectors. With $1,000, we could connect 200 more students with 200 more tutors, and we can start tomorrow. To other students and entrepreneurs, don't assume that age is a barrier. We started track when we were 15, and we quickly realized that if you believe in your idea and put in the work, anyone can build a product that makes a difference. Next slide. Thanks for watching, and get on track.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Congrats on moving in 12 hours. We're going to take it away with Q&A.
So you mentioned that you have tutors available 24/7. How are you making sure that you have the right kind of person? So my kids, for example, will run into a chemistry problem, and it's been a long time since AP Chem for me. And so, how do you ensure that you have somebody who's a specialist in like AP Chem available basically 24/7 when my daughter's studying at midnight, while matching, the time zones and demands? Like, how are you keeping that aligned?
Great question. There are like three main parts of that. One is that we purposely tried to get tutors on both the East and West Coast so that the West Coast tutors can help the late night students on the East Coast, and we can get people all over. The second is that we're pretty intentional about which tutors we go out of our way to recruit. So when I mentioned that we've sent out a lot of surveys, we've been working on track for more than 3 years and done a ton of data collection about the subjects that students need the most. So for common high school subjects like bio, chem, physics, math, English, and we're now expanding to college essay writing, we have tutors who are used to those skills. So we don't have that. We haven't been recruiting that many tutors who help with things like AP Art History because we have yet to get students requesting that. So these are things that hopefully as track expands, we'll be able to grow to, but we're focusing on core subjects right now. Oh, and if they request someone and no one's available, they see a timer until any current tutors are free again. Just go.
I have a question. To what extent, since you're talking to students, including your own peers, are students shifting their tutoring needs from human tutors to things like ChatGPT or Gemini or so on?
Yeah. So we've spent a lot of time thinking about sort of the AI question. The first is that track solves a different problem. So track solves the problem of what do you do when you basically want to ask an older student who's already taken the class. So AI can give you the answer, but track can teach. First, we did a side-by-side to see how students felt about getting an AI answer and then spending 5 minutes with our tutors. And since they can get it so quickly, track is preferred. But also track is still about like teaching strategies. We have personalized tutors. They're all in some form of continuing education. So the connection is the sort of missing piece that AI hasn't been able to solve yet. We're also working on a track bot though for the future so that people can see on our site that AI won't always work as well as track can.
Congratulations, Penelope. It's so awesome the traction you guys have. What's the I understand you have a co-founder who isn't able to present today. How do you guys differentiate responsibilities? What do you own versus him, and what's your collaboration like?
Yeah, so we do everything right now is just sort of based on constantly communicating with each other. Since track is at such an early stage in terms of the structure of the business, we kind of just see like what roles each of us are interested in. So Spencer has done a lot of market research and looked into the sort of business and financial side, and I sort of fell into more of the like marketing role and talking to students, but we haven't sort of created official responsibilities for each of us yet. It's more just about making sure that we're each willing to put in some work and make sure that nothing just like stays undone.
Thank you so much. Congratulations on your traction and track. And we will be handing it off to the next finalist. Please welcome Anna, a 10th grader from San Francisco. Are we waiting for Anna?
Hello, hi, sorry. Hi,
Take it away,
I'm Anna, an aspiring anthropologist and a sophomore at Oakland School for the Arts. My project explores political myth-making, how today's campaigns recycle the structure of old supernatural stories, and why that matters. Next slide, please. I've loved mythology and folklore for years. As I studied more, I started seeing familiar patterns in current political narratives. Appeals to supernatural forces that can be dismissed as mere metaphors, but carry very real consequences. That's where my project began. If we can identify the patterns, maybe we can minimize the harm these stories justify. Next slide, please. With guidance from my Curious Cardinals mentor, I narrowed in on two highly visible narratives. Next slide. The 2020 election denial and, as illustrated in the next slide, please, the chosen one framing around the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Next slide. I analyzed them alongside a blueprint many Americans know but rarely recognize in politics today: Puritan Providence narratives from the colonial era. Next slide. Like their historical predecessors, these modern stories can dull critical thinking about facts, open the door to irresponsible policies, and make them immune to moral and pragmatic criticism. Next slide. I began with primary sources, from Cotton Mather's Magnalia Christi Americana, next slide, to White House press releases and statements by prominent pro-Trump activists to map recurring narrative moves. Next slide. Then I layered in secondary scholarship to test and extend those findings. Next slide. Here's the hopeful part. Supernatural narratives can crack. Sooner or later, events spin out of control, and the story has to stretch so far that it turns against its own core assumptions. The recent disruption of MAGA unity by the ongoing development of the Epstein case is an example of how this pattern shows in today's politics. Next slide. Personally, this work has been a growth sprint. I learned college-level research skills, tracked down quality reprints of historical sources, and expanded my network by more than 100 contacts. I sought feedback on my research from both scholars and practitioners because I wanted to be both rigorous and accessible to decision makers. Next slide, please. My readers include the President Emerita of Saybrook University, the Executive Director Emeritus of UC Berkeley International House, a former Chief Sustainability Officer for the City of Palo Alto, and an international consultant on Colombia's peace process that brought a Nobel Peace Prize to Colombia's president at the time, Juan Manuel Santos. Next slide. This feedback included very detailed comments that were energizing, as they validated the idea that this framework could help decision makers spot harmful myth-making sooner and use research-based insights to respond to it more effectively. Next slide. What's next? I'm revising the draft with that feedback and attending my first American Anthropological Association conference in New Orleans this November to find university-affiliated collaborators aiming to co-author a peer-reviewed article and organize a 2026 conference session to broaden the impact. I'm also exploring an opportunity to collaborate with responsible AI communities on reducing the risk of AI-amplified political myth-making. Next slide. A $1,000 Timeless Skills Prize would cover my conference registration and help with my flight. I'm funding the rest through sales of my handmade jewelry and art. Whatever the future holds, I already know that I'm capable of expanding my knowledge, reach, and personal growth with power and joy. Thank you for the opportunity to share my project with you. And thank you, Curious Cardinals, for helping me grow and use my passion for tangible impact.
Thank you so much. We're going to open it up to Q&A with the judges.
Anna, your research process here was very impressive. I'm curious, what were assumptions you had at the beginning of this project that you were surprised by that weren't true as you dive deeper into sources?
That were true or were not? Sorry.
Were surprises as you dive deeper? Yeah.
I really learned just how clear the parallels were because when I, looked at politics in the modern day, I saw slight parallels, and I thought that I could explore it and see if maybe they were more true. And I was correct, but I underestimated the extent of it and the true impact that those narratives have on our, modern day-to-day life.
I have a question. Some businesses are better designed to be for-profit and some to be non-profit. Which one do you think this was and why?
I would consider this not a business, but a way to get a message across to stop harm. So, if I would win the Timeless Skills Prize, it would go towards getting the message across to the correct decision makers to prevent further harm from these narratives.
So what do you define as success? Like, let's say you win this prize, you continue your research here, 2 to 3 years from now, what would you define as this was a successful project and outcome for me?
For people, for the general population to have more of a understanding of how these specific narratives and how political discourse can be heavily
Wait, have the strawberry one?
Yeah.
how political discourse can be heavily affected by these various concepts that can, affect people or normal everyday people, and to be aware of it while you're making these political decisions.
Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anna. We are going to move on to the next finalist. Please welcome Karis from Redmond, Washington. Take it away.
Hi, my name is Karis Fan, and I am an 8th grader at the Overlake School in Washington. Next slide, please. And the proud founder of Hearts for Hope, a youth-led nonprofit organization dedicated to enhancing cognitive health for individuals living with dementia. Dementia affects over 55 million people globally, yet many support systems focus only on physical care, overlooking something equally essential: cognitive stimulation. Research shows that engaging the mind through play and mental activity can help slow the progression of dementia, and that's where Hearts for Hope comes in. We create small, joyful care packages filled with fun and simple brain games like crosswords, puzzles, and art activities designed to promote memory and mental engagement. Our mission is to make cognitive health accessible and inspiring while also spreading hope to families affected by dementia. Next slide, please. When I first started Hearts for Hope, I noticed something missing in the nonprofit world: youth voices. Many adult-led organizations fail to integrate youth perspectives, so I created one that could. Hearts for Hope is the first youth-led initiative of its kind, advocating for cognitive engagement and intergenerational connection, similar to what Ancestry.com set out to do. Next slide, please. Of course, it hasn't always been smooth sailing. One timeless skill I've really developed through this journey is problem solving, especially the kind that starts with staying curious. As a proud Curious Cardinals mentee, I like to say I've been cardinally curious from the start. Next slide, please. When I set out to build the Hearts for Hope website, for example, I thought designing a computer version would be enough, until I realized it looked completely off on mobile. It felt overwhelming at first, but I broke the problem down screen by screen, learning how to think critically and adapt with each new challenge. That experience taught me that big dreams don't require big steps, just consistent curiosity and the courage to keep asking what if. Next slide, please. With $1,000, I'd first focus on expanding our reach by producing and distributing more care packages to memory care centers, nursing homes, and hospitals, ensuring that moments of joy, dignity, and mental engagement are accessible to more dementia patients across communities. Second, I would invest in a mobile-optimized website that makes it easy for families to request packages or instantly download printable brain games and activities. This digital platform wouldn't just improve access, it would help turn everyday screen time into meaningful memory-supporting engagement. And third, I'd begin development of a simple app that bridges generations through a youth to elder pen pal program. Of course, I would start my exploration into the world of coding with code.org and encourage my peers to make the most of this resource. Kids could send messages or even text, or send pictures of their artwork, and caregivers would help dementia patients respond, fostering a real emotional connection, while also offering a gentle tech-powered form of cognitive stimulation. Next slide, please. Every step of this project is designed to merge creativity, compassion, and curiosity, proving that thoughtful ideas, no matter how small they can start, can create real change. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wonderful job. Loved your references. I'm going to now open it up to Q&A with the judges.
Karis, if this was successful, what would that look like 2 years from now? How do you speak to the vision of what this could become, maybe through a couple individual stories of the impact this could have?
Yeah, so in a few years, I would definitely want to expand my reach. Right now, it's just within communities, for example, in Bellevue, Redmond, and I'm just looking to get events out there and into retirement homes and memory care centers. But in a few years, I'm looking to maybe make it more of a national thing where we can spread the packages and ship these packages to other memory care centers and nursing homes all across the country to make the impact even wider.
I have a similar question to what I asked before. How come you decided for this to be a nonprofit versus a for-profit? You could go both ways. And what are the pros and cons of each?
I think for this specific cause, I think the reason why I chose for it to be a nonprofit is mainly because I really stress the importance of the youth in this specific journey, because giving the youth the opportunity to have these experiences and work with dementia patients in person and interact with them is really important, especially because at a young age, kids are still learning how to develop their core values and what carries them throughout life. And I think just giving them a chance to experience working with these dementia patients will help shape their values into more and help them become more compassionate and curious and empathetic people, which is mainly what I'm focusing on, not as much about a profit.
And how do you coach your volunteers as well? So these pen pals, these folks who work with people with dementia, given that as the decline goes on, it could be, they might forget, say, their pen pal, or, how are you ensuring to protect that relationship if the day comes where somebody's not recognized, it might become hurt?
So part of the pen pal program is, like I said earlier, that they send artwork and send messages, and caregivers would help dementia patients respond. Obviously, with having dementia, it will be a little bit more difficult for patients to remember. But part of our mission is also to just help prevent dementia. So being able to prevent dementia, but also work with people who are in early stages of dementia. So obviously, when people do get dementia and get to the point where they forget, we would probably set the kids up with a new patient or a person or just a normal elderly person who we can help try to prevent dementia from getting to them and help prevent the cognitive decline.
Thank you so much. We are going to move on to the next finalist. Well done, Karis. Next up, please welcome Sloan, a rising 10th grader from New York City.
Hi everyone, I'm Sloan, and today I'm very excited to share my project QLEO with you all. Project Cleanup Low Earth Orbit. Next slide, please. So a bit about me and about what I'm building. So I'm building the first ever autonomous space debris and dangerous orbiter collection satellite. So it enables recycling, refurbishing, reuse, or profit from existing space debris, and also targets potential dangerous orbiters. A bit about me, I've always been interested in astronomy, pretty much everything aerospace, and I also work at an observatory in the summers. Next slide, please. So a bit about my process. After communicating with several professionals just about the problem of space debris, it left a blaringly obvious problem, but the current solutions are unsustainable. So I researched a lot of existing solutions and talked to professionals, including General Saltzman, the head of the U.S. Space Command, also, commonly known as the Space Force, And existing solutions are unsustainable, either having satellites burn up in the atmosphere or pushing them out to really far graveyard orbits. There's no way to successfully collect space debris so it can be reused. Bit more about my process. I had to learn CAD, lots of orbital mechanics, equations, lots of calculations, and I used those in presenting an I-poster at the American Astronomical Society's 245th annual conference last January. And since then, I was approached shortly after the conference by folks at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center and approached with the opportunity of authoring a mission concept paper. After being in communication with them for a while, I've also decided to expand QLEO's scope to include a more of a national security defense component by targeting more dangerous orbiters. Next slide, please. A bit more about how I solved this problem. So space debris has never successfully been detumbled and collected before. So I'm developing a satellite that has, with a function that has never been developed before. So I really had to jump the bureaucracy wall, and I contacted professionals, gathered information from all of the people and resources I could. I'm continuing to update calculations, and I really had to learn how to do extensive research and look at past missions and projects and how to apply old technology to my project, which is really the first of its kind. So after the conference and being approached by folks at NASA Marshall, I published a DOI link so my project could be cited, and I am working to develop a simulation and further my project. Next slide, please. A bit more about why my project matters, its current impact, and vision for the future. So its impact now, launch rates only continue to increase by various nation states and private sector companies. Think about Starlink and Kuiper, and we really lack global governance surrounding satellites in low Earth orbit. So my project will continue to clean up low Earth orbit, which is crucial for protecting our critical infrastructure and its defense. QLEO's defense aspect by targeting dangerous orbiters promotes US dominance in the space domain as competitors such as China and Russia continue to pose threats to our critical infrastructure. More about my vision for the future and what I would do with the $1,000. The $1,000 would enable me to create a more robust digital simulation, and it would really be game-changing in working with one of the 3 suggested NASA accelerators by the chief scientist of NASA Marshall, or also working with a private sector accelerator to really bring my project to life. I'm also have an interest in obtaining a patent on this technology because what I've developed is really the first of its kind. Next slide, please. Bit about my why. I've always been interested in space, everything astronomy, and when hearing about the problem of space debris and potentially the Kessler effect, which is in fact where space debris is cascading and we rely on space debris and our critical infrastructure is more increasingly being damaged. And since satellites just continue to be launched and they're a very important part of our society and our everyday life, I was really shocked when professionals said that they have yet to address the problem of space debris head on. So that's where my idea came to life. And really, Curious Cardinals, my mentor Adeline, reaching out to professionals, working with undergrads, postdocs, like all of those people have really been invaluable in helping me throughout both my satellite design process, but also learning more about the tech and how I can approach this problem. My advice to other people kind of in the realm of aerospace, but also just research in general, is never be afraid to start researching, to reach out to professionals, ask lots of questions, and really just go for it. If you have a passion about a problem and you want to solve it but don't know where to start, I would just say go for it. So yes, I think that's it.
Great. Thank you so much for your awesome presentation, opening it up to Q&A with the judges.
I have a question. So I have heard about this problem, but it's also a surprise to me that it's a surprise and not a surprise that there's nobody actively thinking about the solution. But I want to learn more about, so what would be your actual approach to solving the problem? You've certainly expressed the idea of like the problem itself, but what would be the solution? Is it like a giant vacuum cleaner? How do you actually identify and actually collect the garbage?
So QLEO satellite has a series of magnets that would guide space debris into its RCU or containment unit. And then there the satellites or space debris would be contained, but by also using tech to track, and a ground station would send the exact location and functionality information of the space debris to the satellite, so it would navigate to the piece of debris and then use magnets to kind of guide it into its containment unit and contain it. And this process of navigating to space debris and collecting it repeats until the payload is full and then returns to Earth. So, yeah.
What do you think is your best way of taking this to market? Like through NASA, through a partnership, through building a company? Like, how would you like to take it forward? Because you talked about a number of different ways, and I was just curious.
Yes, exactly. So my goal is to take it through NASA. I was in contact with a team at NASA Marshall Space Flight Center, but funding is really unpredictable right now with NASA and government organizations in general. But the $1,000 would enable me to work with NASA, and it would be really like game changing and like taking my project as a mission concept, because money is what lacks right now in proposing new mission concepts. So NASA is, at least NASA Marshall and most NASA locations are not taking new mission concepts, which is why the $1,000 would really help me. And also private sector companies as well, such as like SpaceX, Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic. Several private sector companies are interested in funding new projects, but that funding comes from, obviously other people. But my goal is to work through NASA. Yes.
Unfortunately, we don't have time for the former aerospace engineer to ask questions. I'm going to be a little stricter with the clock now. Thank you so much, Sloan. And we're going to hand it off to the next presenter, Lucas from San Francisco.
Wait, am I working? Oh, okay, cool. Hi, I'm Lucas Lum. I'm a rising junior at the Harker School. I'm currently 16 years old. And the project I'll be showing today is called CogniPlay, which is a deep learning enabled iPhone app for early detection of Alzheimer's disease that uses speech, gamified cognitive tasks, and wearable sensor data to provide the elderly with free, accessible, and non-invasive screening. I was inspired to start this project for a couple of reasons. One, with a family history of dementia on both sides, I know that some of my relatives are likely currently at risk. And then as our population ages, the need for non-invasive and accurate diagnostic methods becomes increasingly important. Next slide. Okay, so here's my process. During brainstorming, I reviewed dementia literature and found current diagnostic methods to be invasive, inaccessible, and costly, motivating me to explore alternative methods for signals for accurate results, including AI. Upon iterating on the concept, I aim to maximize reach and accuracy, especially given the data scarcity of dementia datasets using AI tools. And then finally, now that we've completed a phase 1 demo, using our speech model, which detects patterns and accuracy of speech to help assess for early dementia. Since then, I've learned that medical data and trials require extensive ethical and privacy considerations. And since then, we have reached out to potential institutions to see how this tool might be implemented. Next slide. This project has had a pretty steep learning curve, with challenges ranging from prioritizing essential features, balancing usability with accuracy, and securing institutional support. We also had to choose the right platform, like iOS or Android, design with older users in mind, and address data scarcity. Because this project was so technically challenging, I practiced many skills along the way, including planning, prioritization, time management, and perseverance in order to stay on track and meet deadlines. I've had to learn new skills such as coding in Swift, making my own AI model that uses speech listening algorithms, and also how to reach out to other organizations. Next slide. I've tackled this problem by using my own way, by using a novel method for detecting Alzheimer's disease, all while upholding my core goals. which is to preserve privacy and create an engaging, accessible experience. As for how it will impact the world, 7.2 million Americans over 65 currently live with Alzheimer's, and that will nearly double by 2026. I believe that given proper user focus, AI can change that and deliver free, non-invasive screening for everyday devices. Next slide. I hope this project can help elderly individuals, especially those in remote areas at risk of dementia, and caretakers who need to closely monitor cognitive changes in their patients. In the future, I hope to validate this prototype, integrate wearable data, and deploy the app to senior centers and homes. The $1,000 prize would help scale our impact by covering technical costs and future outreach efforts. Next slide. This project has required persistence and adaptability. And while progress was not always visible day to day, I've grown tremendously over the past 8 weeks, from just a novice in the subject to someone with a nearly completed AI model and app. My advice to others would be to stay determined and plan out the scope of the project based on your target audience, deliverables, and target headlines. Next slide. We've also prepared a demo, which I'm not completely sure if we have time for, but we can just play it.
Amazing.
So this is just the home screen, and then this is the first task, which is to order like your pattern initially. And the next thing, which is a game of whack-a-mole, which actually tests your reaction time in the background. And then Simon, which is, if you played before, it's a children's game, but it tests your memory. And then finally a speech. Which
Demo is
has a
going,
user.
we're gonna open it up to Q&A from the judges as you're playing your demo.
Hi, Lucas. What sort of feedback have you received from people, and how are you going to get this in front of users?
Okay, so a couple of things. So for how exactly I'm gonna get it in front of users, I think something that we want to make it as accessible as possible by just making it into an app that's easily downloadable. And then we're also looking to like having notifications to ensure that the patient is engaged. And then what was the first question again?
Feedback thus far from people who have used it or tested. I guess, have you gotten it in front of people, and what have they said?
So far I've gotten it mainly in front of, I think, just like beta testers so far, just to mainly check that everything works. And I think the main feedback was to try to make the UI as simple as possible in order to make it accessible to the elderly. And another thing that they said was that games are typically not super done day to day, like it's like one of like the lowest ones, which is why I want to like focus more in the future on like more like background statistics, such as like your heart rate and your gait.
Thank you.
I have a question for the idea of the wristband. What would motivate somebody to buy your wristband rather than if getting this as part of a broader Fitbit or Apple Watch or something like that?
I think the main thing, well, what we're trying to do is trying to attach it to, I think, like Apple Watches, which I think is going to be much more common. So that kind of like limits the need for external devices.
What are you thinking about sustaining this over time? So like 5 years from now, where would you hope this would be? And would you continue to work on this, in various iterations, both the problem and the solution you have today, and then what you hope your future solution would be?
In the future, I kind of hope that this app will reach like a lot of households, especially those with dementia. That'll be like my main dream, which is to actually like help people and even just like get people to even just like convince people to go to like trials and just be like, hey, just check if I have dementia real quick. That will be basically my dream for this app, which is actually help people. And then the second question was, sorry.
Well, you said there were other form factors, such as a wearable or something else. Like, what form factor do you think you would, is this the problem that you want to solve, but you're not stuck to a specific solution, or is this like you want to have 5 different form factors, for example?
I think I'm fine with many different form factors. I think I'm just like thinking of 2, which is like have wearables such as like Apple Watches, and then also the app as a phone. I think so far there haven't been many other ideas for external form factors, but I think I'm always open to new ideas.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you. And Lucas, I'm so sorry if you want to wrap up quickly with your team, and then we'll hand it off to the next finalist because I accidentally cut you off here.
Oh, no problem. Okay, so I just wanted to thank my parents for always supporting me on this journey, and even me like reaching out to their close friends. And then I also want to thank my mentor, Anirudh Natarajan, which actually helped to reach out to external organizations in order to ask for data sets because I needed a private investigator.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lucas. We are going to hand it off to the next finalist. Please welcome Rose Cornell from New York City.
Hi guys, I'm Rose Cornell, and I'm so excited to be presenting to you all IYK Jewels. So this all began when I was 4 years old, when I was rummaging through my mom's closet, trying on all of her jewelry, dreaming about the day that I could be just like her. And now, 12 years later, me, Rose Cornell, a 16-year-old student at Riverdale Country School, is a successful founder of IYK Jewels, which is an emerging jewelry brand in New York City with almost 10,000 sales year to date. I support women worldwide on their journeys through motherhood, and I'm so excited to tell you guys how it all began. Next slide, please. A little bit about me is when I was younger, all I wanted to do was have a business. I went through multiple trials and error doing skincare, doing face masks and whatnot. And finally, I always found my passion for jewelry. Next slide, please. It all began with our logo, which I worked with a graphic designer, learning about the ways in which logos can be presented in a positive or negative way. Next slide, please. So here's a few of our products. So we range our products from necklaces, bracelets, hand chains, body chains, a whole variety, and we specialize in our customizable pieces. Our products range with a range of 14, 16, and 18 karat gold filled products, in which we did a lot of trial and error for. Next slide, please. A little bit about our business model. Currently, we're focusing on just online sales. However, we've done a range of pop-ups throughout the city with brands such as Love Shack Fancy during the release of the Stanley Cup and a pop-up with Brick Church for their spring boutique. We've also done a few at-home trunk shows and worked very closely with Every Mother Counts. Next slide, please. Currently, our market size. So we ship to the entire continental US. However, the majority of our sales are focused in New York. Next slide. So a bit about our Love Shack Fancy pop-up. We worked really closely with all the workers in Love Shack Fancy, and I learned a lot about the ways in which I can integrate IYK Jewels into the business plan I have moving forward. Through this pop-up, we gained lots of public view, and our business really skyrocketed and got legitimized. Next slide. So a little bit about our sponsorship with Every Mother Counts. I created a special collection which features a necklace and a bracelet in which we donate 100% of our profits to Every Mother Counts. Also, throughout this, I noticed that wasn't creating as much revenue as I wanted, and so we also sponsor and donate 20% of the rest of our website to Every Mother Counts. The reason why I chose Every Mother Counts as the website I wanted to partner with is because as a young woman, safe birthing for mothers worldwide is something that's always been super important to me. And so through a lot of different investigation, this specific charity is something that I really wanted to work on. Next slide, please. So the other events, Brick Church and the at-home trunk show, these are just some photos, and also the profits from here were also donated to Every Mother Counts. Next slide, please. So the total sales year to date is $8,085, and by purchase platform, most of our revenue is from online and trunk show sales. Next slide, please. So a few problems I ran into. As I'm still in high school, it's been very difficult to balance school as well as sports and just outside of school life with running a full-blown business that has been legitimized and I've been working on for a really long time. And so through Curious Cardinals and having my weekly meetings, I've been able to tackle this problem and created a solution in which I have a set amount of time every week in which I can work on IYK Jewels. Next slide, please. Some future goals that we have. I hope to donate $3,000 by the end of 2025 to Every Mother Counts, and we are already 23% of the way there. So I'm just hoping that we can make it to 100%. I also want to continue to legitimize the business by investing in ads and also working with different influencers throughout the city. And I also am very excited that I will be attending the Every Mother Counts trip to Africa during this winter break, in which I'll be able to be like face to face with the people who I'm helping, which I hope that will just further my relationship with Every Mother Counts. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
Okay, we are going to open it up, unless we're missing a slide, to Q&A.
Maybe it counts.
Thank you so much, Rose. We're going to take it away with Q&A with the judges.
How do you hope to carry this forward, and what marketing channels? How do you want to spread the word and make sure that more people are seeing your product?
So continuing to post on social media, specifically through TikTok and Instagram, I think is going to be the best way to publicize my brand, as right now in our modern world, that's the way that I think most brands are doing that. And I've done a lot of research on my competitors, like other jewelry brands, and the way that they're doing most of their marketing and sales is through Instagram. And so I've been doing a lot of research about how I can create my own Instagram ad and the most effective way to do so.
I love the IYK. It's designed for people to ask, what does it stand for? But what do you want your customers to say? Like if somebody else asks them, what is it that you should know? What would your customers say you do know?
Yeah, so IYK stands for If You Know. And the reason I chose this name is because I wanted to stress the exclusivity of the brand and the fact that it is customizable and one of a kind. So it's sort of like, if you know, you're part of this exclusive community in which you understand the jewelry brand and what we stand for.
We're almost at time. Any final questions, judges?
By the way, it's impressive how much sales you've had already.
Thank you.
Congrats on the traction.
Thank you so much.
Amazing. Well, with that said, thank you so much, Rose.
Thank you, guys.
Hopefully you'll get some more from here. And we are going to hand it off to Harry Nelson, 9th grader from Los Angeles, California. Please take it away, Harry.
Hello, my name is Harry Nelson, and this is the First Impressions Youth Journal presentation. Next slide, please. Who am I? My name is Harry Nelson. I'm a rising freshman at the Windward School. I'm interested in debate and writing, and my inspiration for this project was the rise of polarization in our society and my family, and creating an outlet for creative writing. Next slide. Today's problem is polarization. We constantly see two opposing sides of an argument grow constantly away from the middle ground, creating political violence and non-civil debate. Next slide, please. My goals for this project were to encourage civil disagreement and debate in the younger generation, educate the youth. A quote from Learned Hand really represents what I'm going for here. The spirit of liberty is the spirit which is not too sure it is right. The spirit of liberty is the spirit which seeks to understand the mind of other men and women. Next slide. What is First Impressions, and where does it fit into fixing polarization? Well, First Impressions is a youth journal that releases essays bi-weekly covering topics from TikTok trends to the effects of tariffs. First Impressions is for the youth, by the youth, and anyone between ages 12 and 18 can submit an essay to the site for review and publication. On First Impressions, there are 3 main categories. The View, which is a broad essay category where essays can be written about almost anything. The Culture, which is a modern pop culture section, mainly consisting of new movies or music. And the Clash, where people are exposed to 2 opposing viewpoints in the form of contrasting essays. Next slide, please. My process for this was, first, I brainstormed, then I integrated AI into my workflow, and I started building a website, and finally, I found writers and wrote myself for First Impressions. Next slide. My growth and learnings throughout this project were through agentic AI, learning about the ethical use of it and how it works. I also improved my writing through writing essays and editing, and I improved my leadership through leading a team and product management. Next slide. Here's why First Impressions matters. The impact of our website is through the youth, which are the future of our entire world. The website promotes understanding other people's opinions and nonviolence. My future vision is to expand, to allow to create new readers and writers, and to allow as many voices as possible to be heard, almost to get to the level of a scholastic writing competition, where if you are approved, you are very revered. Next slide, please. My why, my one big takeaway. This project and my advice for all of you was to combat polarization. The advice is to engage in civil debate, value everyone's opinions, question your own beliefs, and don't get all your news from one source. The changes I made to myself over the course of this project were I started questioning things more, I improved my writing skills, I became more educated on the future of AI in our society, and I got better at leadership. Next slide. This is my final slide. I'm motivated with this project. I have drive. I love what I am doing with First Impressions. I will complete this project without the $1,000. I will complete the website. I will get new readers and writers, and I will get this to the point I want it to be at. But $1,000 will streamline this project and let me achieve my goals much faster. Funding is necessary because with this $1,000, I will buy a domain, purchase more servers, and deploy a web app. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Harry. We're going to open it up to Q&A.
Hi, Harry. I love that you're trying to attack polarization. What do you think this looks like at scale? If you were successful at scale, what would it look? How would you see it taking shape?
I think First Impressions in my future is to get this to the point as a major news source like the New York Times or the New Yorker or just large news sources like that where people go to this site to get opinions and to learn, but not only just for that, but also for people who are interested in writing because it is way more accessible than those bigger news sources for young people who want to write and to practice their creative writing. This is also a great place to do it. So it's a combo of the reading and writing aspect.
And who's the persona of your target readers? Like you want to influence the conversation, and how are you going to reach out to your readers, and how are you going to spread the word?
So you're asking about the advertising?
Well, just in general, like how, you want to influence people, you want people to read the writing and get the word out. How are you thinking about doing that?
Well, I've mainly been tackling this through another way this money could be used, online advertising, but I've mainly been tackling this through the school system. Now that I'm in middle school, all my friends from elementary school have gone to different schools than me throughout Los Angeles, which means through contacting them, I have a wide range of people that I can talk to. So I've been talking to my friends, getting them to pitch First Impressions. And since the site isn't truly up yet, because I still need to buy the domain, advertising hasn't been my first priority, but over time, I will definitely put a larger focus on that.
Why you, Harry? Why are you uniquely suited to solve this problem? What skill set do you have or experience do you bring that make you the best suited person in the world to tackle this?
Well, like I said, I love debate and creative writing, which are two of the biggest aspects of First Impressions, the debate through the Clash section and creative writing, which is what the entire site is built on. Along with that, I'm constantly exposed to different polarization in my life. And I think that I've really learned how you can combat polarization through going to many different camps across the United States and exposing myself to different views. And that's why I think I'm uniquely qualified for this.
Thank you so much, Harry. We are going to move on. We have 2 more finalists left. Please take it away. Priscilla from Washington as well. You have the floor. Priscilla, you are on mute. Got this. Go for it.
Hello, my name is Priscilla. I'm honored to be part of the finalists, and I enjoyed listening to everyone's pitches. I think you all did a great job. Today, I'm going to talk about how problems in your daily life alter the bacteria inside of your body, or in other words, how stress affects the microbiome. Next slide, please. Again, my name is Priscilla. I'm going into 8th grade, and I'm from the Bear Creek School in Redmond, Washington. I got the idea from my finals week when I had a lot of tests and projects. I could tell that the stress was affecting my health because my hair was falling out. No, I'm just kidding. But I did notice it was affecting my health. I wanted to know how. I did this by looking at the microbiome, which is the bacteria that live on and inside everyone, supporting our body's functions. It is affected by both physical and mental stressors. I studied my family's microbiomes before and after different stresses using saliva samples. This experiment helps to answer how stress affects our bodies and lays the groundwork for a saliva test, warning you before it leads to anxiety or depression. Next slide, please. To design this experiment, I started by looking at different scientific articles about how stress affects the microbiome. This chart from one of the scientific articles shows that stress levels do change the types and amount of bacteria in the microbiome. Initially, I only tested mental stress, but I decided to add physical stress too, because they both affect the microbiome differently. For my physical stress, I switched from running to putting a hand in ice water because it maintains consistent stress levels across participants, whereas running depends on fitness level. For my mental stress, I used an IQ test designed to challenge people equally. Next slide, please. I used resources from home and online instead of buying materials to create this experiment. Unlike existing studies that use stool samples, I used saliva because, well, it's disgusting. Using saliva is also more convenient than a stool test, and it has not been tested before. I also put participants under direct stress instead of just observing their daily lives. Next slide, please. I encountered challenges while performing the experiment that caused delay. My mom had a cold, which put extra stress on her immune system and would have contaminated the sample. Also, my brother wouldn't undergo the experiment because he was too hungry. This project taught me time management because I play competitive volleyball. I had to figure out how to make enough time in my schedule to create this pitch. It also taught me perseverance because I went through many experiment designs. The bacteria cultures you see on the slide indicate that there's less bacteria after stress, but with only 3 participants, the sample size is too small. I also can't tell if the type of bacteria changes without a microscope. Next slide, please. The results suggest that stress reduces beneficial bacteria, making it easier to get sick. I would use $1,000 in multiple ways. First, I would use about $500 for paid participants to get a large data sample, and $300 for materials, including cortisol tests, for accurate stress measurement. I would use the remaining $200 to buy a microscope to identify different bacteria. This experiment could also be turned into a marketable product, a saliva test that spots stress early to help avoid things like anxiety or depression, although it would not replace a professional diagnostic. AI would help interpret the results and suggest lifestyle changes like a personal health assistant. Next slide, please. A quote that encapsulates my journey is "Never give up, for that is just the place and time the tide will turn," by Harriet Beecher Stowe. I learned to never give up and to just keep pushing, no matter how difficult or long it takes. This experiment has changed me from learning existing information to creating and discovering new things. Thank you for listening, and I hope I can be the one to receive $1,000.
Amazing. Thank you so much. We are going to open it up to Q&A with the judges.
Can you speak to why you chose the microbiome specifically as kind of what you wanted to explore more deeply? What was kind of the inspiration for that as the medium to conduct this research?
Because it's affected by everything that you do, like if you were to go on a run or something, or like some sort of stress, like a big work deadline. It all affects the microbiome, and it's just one thing you can test.
How do you hope to, oh, sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, how do you hope to package this and make it accessible so that people can do this over time? You know, and how do you hope to first validate it and then take it to other people?
So I hope to do that by, first of all, getting more participants so I can get a larger data sample to make sure that this is the pattern actually holds up. And then also like publishing a paper, a peer-reviewed one, so that it can get out. And then after that, I'm going to try to create a prototype of this that's smaller and easier to do.
I actually had the same question as Deb, so I don't know if I have any other questions, and I know we're short on time.
Okay, well, great job today, Priscilla. Thank you so much for your amazing work, and we are going to hand it off to the last presenter. Please take it away, Bo Gardner from New York City.
All right. Hello, everybody. Sorry, it's been very long, the end. I'm going to be talking about the Cohetes project. So you can go to the next slide, but I'm just going to begin, it's not on there, by talking about a bit of background. For my entire life, and that's not really an exaggeration, I'm 17. My family has been fortunate enough to go to Guatemala and build homes for the indigenous communities in the highlands. If you don't know, historically, the Guatemalan government has not treated these people well, and in fact has engaged in a civil war that was basically a genocide against them. And so they don't receive proper education or utilities. And so the organization that we go with, which my family is now heavily involved with, we build homes. Like physically, it's not a donation. It's like you go, I mean, you can donate as well, but you go there and you build. So I've grown up experiencing that in different levels as I've gotten older. But what I eventually kind of realized was that, there's nothing that I can really do physically that's going to make any special effect. There's nothing I can really bring to the build. I mean, I'm not the strongest guy around. Like, there's nothing I can really do. And so I started thinking, well, what am I passionate about? Like, how could I make a real difference? So my entire life, I've been incredibly passionate about aerospace engineering. I plan to study that and pursue a career. And at the same time, the organization had built a school in one of the towns that we built in the most, called Santa Maria de Jesus. It's a very small town. I think they have electricity now and maybe running water, but still people are very poor and make very little money working in farms. And so what this school does is, the other government-run schools are terrible. Kids get a horrible education, and they end up working back in farms by the time they're like much younger than me. This school is technically a private school. It's funded by donations, and it affords an unbelievably good education for this town. And there have now been many success stories of these kids going off to university. And so I wanted to figure out if there was a way that I could teach a course there that could get students excited about STEM with sort of the similar opportunities that I had. So now I can kind of talk a bit more. So during the summer of 2024 and 2025, or you can go back to the previous slide. During those summers, I created a STEM program revolving around rocketry for students in Santa Maria de Jesus, Guatemala, specifically at the Caminoage School. There was a bunch of iterations, and I'll talk a bit more about that. You can go to the next slide and then the next slide. So my process. So to complete it, I don't know why that's a little bit hard to read, but there was a lot of trial and error. There was a lot of issues because I had to figure out what was the central activity. So of course there was going to be the lesson part where I taught them about the concepts, how it relates to them, the construction, but then there was the launch. And originally, in the United States, if you want to launch a solid rocket motor, it's very easy. You can go to the hardware store, they might sell it, and you can get a little motor from Estes, and that works great. But unfortunately, can't bring it on a plane, and shipping it would cost literally hundreds of thousands of dollars. And believe me, I've tried. And mixing the chemicals in the hotel room also sounded like a bad idea. So ultimately, I came up with using water pressure to launch these rockets. So the idea is very simple. You just have a bottle and you pressurize it, and then you have some sort of system to let it go and launch them. And so I found a company that sells a product that kind of makes that very simple and safe. So you can go to the next slide. So I'm just going to show some photos. That's a photo out the window of the school. I mean, you can see the housing. Most people are still living in cornstalk homes. The organization I work with builds concrete homes. So for the most part, most of these kids might still be living in the dirt. And so even though the school is a great opportunity, it does not give access to certain STEM education. And so my program really does that. And so it involves, like I said, first the presentation, then the teaching how to do the construction part, and third, the launch. The only problem is I don't speak Spanish. At first, I was going to use this AI tool, and I spoke with the founder of a company that does live AI translations, and he actually gave it to me for free, but his product was terrible, and I was unable to use it. And so instead, I was very lucky to have a Princeton student who was doing an internship at the school who was actually able to translate it. And so he translated the lesson, and that was unbelievably helpful. You can see a photo there. It's us on the launch site. This was on the most recent visit. You can go to the next slide. So for the younger students, it was a lot simpler, talked more about the applications and how they relate to everyday life, such as GPS, wildfires, volcanoes, because there's tons of that activity in Guatemala, and you need to be able to predict where the smoke is going to go, all sorts of stuff like that. And then some more basic concepts like forces, really the basic things you'd learn in like a kinematics course in physics in the United States. And you can read on there. The next slide, please. My personal growth, I mean, yeah, I learned about logistics, shipment of materials, coordinating with organizations. I had to coordinate with the school. The teacher also did not speak Spanish, and neither did the principal. And so I had to use ChatGPT and friends who speak Spanish to communicate and plan this for the trip. And I hope to find more ways to work with these students, which I think I'll be talking about in the next few slides. So you can do the next slide. So AI usages, AI usage, basically it was just for the translations, of course, I only speak English. There were some calculations I had to do just because I was looking on Google Earth of where we had launched the rockets in a way where, it wouldn't come down on a house. Turns out none of that mattered because they did come down on houses and it was a mess, but it still worked. Also for curriculum structuring, I just had to figure out like the timing of certain activities. You can do the next slide. Why it matters. I mean, like it says there, mostly these students in this community are living an incredibly different life to any student in the United States, really. Their families live a very circular lifestyle, and they are most likely living on the same land that has been subdivided of their grandparents to each kid. And so the same opportunities I've had to learn about STEM education really are like a path outwards. And so as we've seen with this school, kids have the opportunity to go on to university, and this can really change their life. And I hope they can get the same opportunities that I've had in the United States. You can do the next slide. My why, yeah, I've been going to Guatemala my whole life. I have I think I have great knowledge of the community and the people, and I have a good knowledge of aerospace engineering. I'm passionate about it, and it really works for me as like something I can give back to the community. You can do the next slide. Or I guess, yeah, these are some more photos. This was us walking through the streets to the launch site, the construction in the classrooms, and the kids had a great time, and it really worked very well. You can do the next slide. More photos of that. You can see kids were interested. Okay, so how $1,000 can help this project? Mainly, one is donating to the school in general. They could use more resources. They could use sponsorships for the kids. And food, that's definitely important. Also, I would like to expand the program to remote controlled airplanes. Specifically, I've had an idea of figuring out a way to build planes that can deliver water to family members working in fields, as that's a problem that exists. And I've seen an organization in Africa that did this for medical supplies with these sort of drone aircraft. And that would be the main thing. Also, I wanted to give Starlink to the school so they could have better Wi-Fi for learning resources. I think that's the last slide, could be wrong.
Thank you so much. We're going to open it up to Q&A.
Do you have a vision for how you can scale this beyond the classroom you worked with to other classrooms and schools?
Yeah, there's kind of two sections to that. So one is within the school itself. I've been working to try to create a sort of mentorship program within the school where students can teach younger grades. And that already happened actually without me doing anything. The first year that I did this, after I left, I found out that the kids had basically used like all the resources and taught a younger grade. So ideally setting up a system where this can be passed on from grade to grade and teach more kids. And then the truth is, unfortunately, this school is really an unbelievably unique situation in Guatemala, and particularly in this community. And as much as I would love to say that it would be super easy to like just get in contact with the other public schools nearby and set this up, that's really not super accessible. So for now, I think it's about expanding this for this particular community that I've been experienced with.
How replicable is this, as Hadi said, beyond this classroom? Like, could you, like, in, let's say, a year, do you want to get into like 5 classrooms or 5 schools or 50? How replicable do you think that is for you to do that in Guatemala?
Yeah, of course, I don't think I can do that myself, but I have looked a lot into like creating this as sort of a curriculum package. And in terms of that, I think it's very easy. It requires obviously a bit of knowledge of these topics, but again, not more than a high schooler's knowledge of kinematics. It's pretty simple. You have to be a little bit passionate. The kit for launching the water rockets is from a company called Strato Launchers. The kits, I mean, they're like kind of expensive, but they continue to work and they're very safe. It's like $20. So that's pretty replicable. You just need water bottles. It's really just the slides and the knowledge. So yeah, definitely other people could be equipped to teach this at other schools and could really grow and make a difference.
Thank you so much, everyone. Great job, Bo. Thank you to all of our amazing participants for your hard work and working so hard to bring your projects to life today. We are going to wrap up today's pitch competitions and enter the judges' deliberation. And we will be announcing in the next 30 minutes or so the finalists and the winners of today's pitch competition. We're so impressed and proud. Thank you guys so much for your hard work and for being part of the Curious Cardinals community. And as we've said, stay curious, keep at it. We hope this is just the beginning of all your amazing passion projects and impact to change the world. Thank you, everyone.